It's time for the Leadership Lunch Break with Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy. Let's tune in for today's discussion.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Leadership Lunch Break. I'm Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy, and I'm so excited that you joined me once again to talk about leadership principles and ideas that will help you transform not only your life, but the lives of those around you. As you know, we've been talking about the 5 R's to repair the weary. And if you're just joining me for the first time, let me tell you a little bit about why this came about. So a little while ago in May, I was going through a lot of changes, just personally, professionally, and I was really trying to navigate those things. And what I realized was I was absolutely tired and exhausted, frustrated, finding myself just really irritable and really just struggling in a lot of areas. And I wasn't my best self. And so I started writing, and I just, would write and would meditate and would pray. And I started writing these articles, and I didn't know they were articles at the time. I actually was just writing them, and they became a 5-part series, which I'm now calling the 5 R's to repair the weary. And what I'm hoping and praying that it'll do for you is help you to move from weariness or exhaustion to recovery and to a place where you find peace and joy again. And if you're like me, this year has been a challenge. And as we round out 2020, it's time for us to do something different. The first R in the 5 R's to repair the weary is to rest. I challenge you to take a moment and to rest. It doesn't have to be physically sleeping, but really resting your mind and your thoughts and your body so that you can be rejuvenated. The second R is reflect. So while you're resting, if you're in a place of depletion, it's really important to identify how you got there. So what caused it? What situations brought that on? And how will you be different? And that brings me to the third R, which is reposition. So when you identify the issues that you have, the challenges that you're going through, when you have identified that you are on empty, you don't have to stay there. The best way to be better is to change your course. And this is something that businesses have been doing for years. Repositioning is a part of branding. It's a part of life. In other words, when I'm going in one direction or I'm trying something and I realize it doesn't work, it's my responsibility to do something different. Cruise industry does it all the time. They have repositioning cruises, which basically means it's time for the ship to turn. And in order for the ship to turn, it's got to go out and come back in. And so it literally repositions. Marketers do it all the time when they realize that a brand is not working or when they realize that certain products aren't selling, they will reposition. You think about IBM, you think about a lot of the computer industries when they first came out. Remember the big towers we had? And then they realized that people couldn't walk around with those and they couldn't be as mobile. So they began to reposition and rebrand. And now you've got literally a phone that can do everything a computer can do. So repositioning is very important. Even in our own lives, it's important to reposition, to recognize that I'm in a place of emptiness or frustration, but I don't have to stay there. I have the power to change my position. And when I say reposition, that's all I'm saying is go one way and then decide to do something completely different. It's a 180-degree turn for some. It'll be a 45-degree turn for some, but it's not 360 because that ends you up right where you started. So when you're repositioning, I want you to stop and turn. It's very simple. When you realize that there are things that have weighed you down or made you sad or have challenged you this year, make a choice, a healthier choice. And the healthier choice is to turn away from it. It's a healthy choice to decide, I no longer want to go that path. I choose to go this path. So if you find yourself weary, the best thing to do is to choose a different direction. I encourage you today to think about those things that have made you tired, made you frustrated, those relationships, those decisions that you've made, and choose a different path. Because once you reposition, you're primed to start in a new, more healthy, more successful direction. Thank you so much for joining me for the complete article on the 5 R's to repair the weary. I invite you to go to my website, www.speakingofjoy.com, and you'll find the article there. After you finish the article, there's a reflection activity that I challenge you to do. Share that information with me so that we can continue our journey together. Until next time, have a great one.
Thank you for joining the Leadership Lunch Break. Join us next Thursday at noon Central Standard Time for lunch as we continue our discussions. Follow Speaking of Joy on all social media platforms or visit our website at www.speakingofjoy.com. That's www.speakingofjoye.com. Until next week.